Hi, everybody. Happy Thursday. Hopefully, you had a good flex day yesterday and were able to stay or get caught up with your movie review. So, today we move into the counterclaim paragraph, acknowledging other viewpoints on the movie. I'm also at the end of the lesson today. I have a feedback Google form for you to fill out that allows you to pick what kind of feedback you want to get on your movie review between now and next week. I'll start working on those today. So you'll get your feedback no later than next Wednesday. There are a number of options for you to pick from. Okay, a lot of slides today, but I will be able to get through most of it pretty quickly. So stick with me. Here we go. Teaching point: critics stay fair to an opposing viewpoint by acknowledging it, considering it, and then also responding to it throughout their arguments. Acknowledge, consider, respond. So you have two ways that you can do this. Tip number one, you could blend some counter argument throughout your reviews in each of your paragraphs. That way, you are always addressing opposing points of view. This is especially good if you have a very mixed movie review. Maybe it's a movie that you like, or it could be a movie that you have a fair amount of negatives for it as well. Tip number two, reserve a part of your movie review, like a paragraph, like I did, to specifically address the biggest counterclaim, one that you can either fully admit or one that you can completely tear apart. If your review is overwhelmingly positive or negative, acknowledge one aspect of the other side. Or you might have to go online and find some critic reviews. RottenTomatoes.com is a good site for this. And you might want to find a review that has, if you can't find a lot of negatives, find a negative that somebody else said. If you use their opinion, make sure that you source it. If your review is more mixed, then again, pick one of your reasons. Like you might love the acting, but you might want to acknowledge one weak actor. So that's another way that you can do that based on your note taking and movie planner. Here's just an example from the movie review we read at the beginning of the process about the Call of the Wild. So all of the aspect in yellow is really the counter argument. Most of you said this review was more on the negative side, but there's a fair amount of positive that a lot of you mentioned on the discussion board as well. So all the yellow is more of the opposite side of the primary argument of this review. If you need them, here are some sentence stems that you can use. As always, make sure we're not overusing sentence stems. And I'm not grading you on whether or not you use these sentence stems. But if you're kind of stuck with how do I transition, I'm not really quite sure how to do that, here are some options that you could use. Let me show you how I used it in mine. So as I'm developing my counterclaim, I went back here to my original counterclaim on my planning document, and I ended up really completely changing it. I decided, oh, this work that I had in my counterclaim, I'm actually going to include in my conclusions. You'll see that early next week. So in my counterclaim, I will admit that this movie is not all bad. This is not a terrible movie. There are a lot of things about it that I do like. I will admit that the movie is fun and exciting and feels like going on a ride at Disney. The chase scenes move quickly, especially the previously mentioned Jeep scene. There are plenty of scenes and sequences for fans of the series, like the other movies. There are some creepy scenes with ants and spiders. There are the typical Indiana Jones and famous lines like, I have a bad feeling about this, and a joke about pretending that a rat snake was a rope so Indy could be rescued from a sinkhole. However, these moments seem too engineered for me to be happy with them for long. Rather than seeming fresh and new, many of these jokes, one liners, and sequences feel like a retread of the original trilogy. Very common for franchises that have outlived their welcome. Die Hard, Lethal Weapon, and yes, even Star Wars have all fallen into a similar trap of recycling plots, lines, and characters. After this movie, Indiana Jones is starting to have that same feeling. Okay, so acknowledging that there are some positives, but kind of going back to some of the things that I really am not a big fan of for this movie. So that's how you can work on your counterclaim. You can see this paragraph here is about what I would expect you to do if you do your counterclaim as one single paragraph. So that's it. If you've stayed caught up today, you really only got one paragraph to work on. If you want to play around with your conclusion today, you could do that. Otherwise, we'll get into that really conclusion on Tuesday. But go ahead and try it out if you want to do that. Okay, hopefully you have a great day. I look forward to reading your feedback forms as well. Remember to get that submitted to me so I can give you some feedback on your own review. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a good one.